Hi everyone, my name is Cathy Skipper and I've decided to do a small series of videos over the next 10 days or so on the theme of embodiment. So what is embodiment? Well, we could say that the word incarnation is a synonym with embodiment. We are embodied. If you're listening to this, you are embodied, you exist, you've been incarnated into a physical body and you have the gift of life. And that's huge. My husband Florian often says our embodiment or our incarnation is what the angels are jealous of us for, because through being embodied in a physical, dense body, we have challenges, and these challenges, this density of what it is to be materially incarnated, is what enables us to grow. So it's a great gift. However, as most of us have experienced and realize in our own lives and watching our children, in today's world, virtual reality has taken over a huge part of most of our daily lives. Most of us spend at least some hours, if not many hours of our day, in a virtual reality, on our phones, on screens, communicating with people everywhere else, kids on games, etc. We know the story. And this doesn't help us really fully live in our bodies and be embodied and inhabit what it is to be human. So dissociation or disembodiment has always been a problem, and especially related to trauma. But in today's world, the problem is getting bigger because we are spending so much time in virtual reality. The reality, though, the real reality is we do have a body, and our bodies express and our movement express who we fully are. So the question that I ask you is your body fully animated by your soul? Do you feel alive? Do you love your body? Do you feel that your soul and your body are sort of one? Your soul is animating, is fully embodied? Or do you feel that you're living a lot of your time in your thoughts, in your head, on your screen, and kind of you could walk around with a head and a stick and that would be fine because your body isn't really part of the story? Do you fully listen and pay attention to the wisdom of your body? You know, the body and embodiment and matter is very feminine. And I think one of the big themes of embodiment relates to where we are collectively in the world, especially in the dominant culture, that matter, and we can see it by the disastrous situation with ecology and the planet and the environment at the moment, the matter, the embodied world, the animals, the insects, the plants, everything that makes up this beautiful planet really has become, we look at it, or we tend to look at it as something inanimate, not alive, not infused with soul, not infused with aliveness or viridatus. And that's the same with us, and that is really a huge problem. And I think it is related, this is another subject, but it's related to the denial of the feminine aspect of life in us all, men and women, the planet. The embodied aliveness of matter is being denied, and it's being denied in ourselves. So really we're living in a world where there's a division instead of oneness with the physical body, with our emotions, with our thoughts, with our spirit, with our soul. It's divided. So we have this mind, and like I said, you could have a head with just a pole or a stick, and that would be fine because the mind seems to be doing everything, or directing everything, and its focus is where we're focused, and we've split off from matter and from the body, and that really is a problem. So that's what I want to address in the series of probably 5 videos that I'm going to do, because that problem needs to be addressed. If, for example, in my work with my husband, Dr. Florian Berkmeyer, where we work with people on healing using aroma, one of the first things that's obvious we have to work with people is embodiment in order for anything else to happen. You can't heal and really come into yourself and deal with the traumas that you might be holding within your body if you're not embodied. So stage 1 in any real healing journey is for practitioners to make sure that your client is embodied, and if they're not, to work on embodiment, which can take some time. And if it's for your own journey, work on your embodiment. I can say this from first hand because I spent much of my life disembodied through trauma. And I didn't realize really that I was so dissociated until I had my last child. And there were 7 kids at home. We were a combined family. And I got everything done. I seemed to manage to, do the cooking, the shopping, the cleaning, and the work and everything else. But I began to realize, and it was pointed out to me, that even though I was physically doing the things I needed to do, there was this split. My thoughts were somewhere else. I was always somewhere else. The kids would say something, and it would take them a little while to get through to me because I wasn't there, and it didn't feel good. That split felt terrible. And I think that's the reason why unconsciously I'd been drawn to plants and gardening and clay work and hiking and doing things that sort of bring me into my body. There was an unconscious realization that if I didn't do these things, I was not going to get by. And then I started to bring all this into consciousness and really, really work on embodiment. And now I feel so much better, and I've coupled the embodiment with my healing journey, and I'm here. I belong to myself. I'm here. Okay, so rather than being anchorless and disconnected from ourselves and from nature and from others, embodiment brings us in to ourselves. So when we're here, we're fully here. When I don't want to be here, or I want to do something on my own, or I need alone time, or I need to be in my thoughts, then I'll take that time and I'm fully in my thoughts or journaling or writing. But when I am here and I am with my kids, I'm fully here, and that feels so good. So the journey is coming home to ourselves, and that's what I want to work with you over the next few videos. What I'm going to do is pick out an oil for each video that we're going to work in. So I'm going to talk about the oil, and then I'll give you a short guided exercise that you can do with the oil. And in a way, I couldn't but for this first video choose mitti. Now, mitti is an attar, which means that it's an aroma that's been distilled into sandalwood, which is in the receiving vessel. So the sandalwood acts to capture aromas. It's often done with very delicate floral aromas like jasmine and rose, tuberose. So these delicate flowers are best trapped by this beautiful sandalwood oil. This, however, mitti, is not a flower. For those of you who know it, you're probably smiling, but it's actually made from clay. So this mitti is made in the center of attar making in India, in a place called Kanauj, and the clay is the clay that is the earth of the river Ganges, and the earth is harvested. It's a very clayey sort of riverine earth. It's harvested and made into these little cakes and dried, and then these cakes are distilled. And so there's no plant matter except for the sandalwood that's going to receive this beautiful earthy aroma. And it's called, the aroma that you get from this is called petrichor, which means, petro means the scent of the rock, the scent of the earth. And in fact, I say there's no plants, but there are plants, because the decomposing plants over millennia have created the earth. So you can smell them. For me, the smell is just so beautifully homecoming. It's, in a way, it's expansive, and as if inside that expansiveness is absolutely everything and nothing. It's very, very hard to explain. But anyway, it's made from these clay rocks and soil that are made into little cakes and then distilled. And the smell is more than just an embodying oil or a grounding oil. It really is the energy of the earth, basically, because it is made out of the earth, and it touches a very deep, visceral, archaic part of ourselves that is the gift of being embodied. And that's what's so important. So, I can feel it now. It sort of wakes up every cell in the body with a reminder that we are in a physical body. And, you know, when you touch yourself with it and smell it, you know, these hands, these are my gift. These are my gift of life, that I have these hands that I can do things with, that I can feel with. And the mitti really helps us to want to touch our body and be in it and love it and oil it. And, you know, that's a great gift from this oil. And so the the petro is the earth, the rock, the substance of the soil. And petrikor means the smell of the rain on the dry earth. So, you know, the monsoons arrive and the earth is so dry and parched, and when the rain hits the earth, you can smell that blend of rain and dry earth, and that's the smell of the mitti attar. That's the smell of what it is. And I love it because, in a way, the earth is, as we've said, this embodied, visceral, archaic energy of what it is to have a physical body. And the rain, that moisture, is the feminine, is everything that comes through. In Hildegard de Bingen calls it viridatus, and she calls it the greening of the soul. And it's moist. There's a moisture in the earth and in the energy that comes through to us when we're alive. It's really the soulfulness, a humidity of aliveness that is mingled with the physicality and the density of physical embodiment. And that's summed up so beautifully in the mitti attar. You know, it reminds us that not only it's not dry, our body isn't dry, there's a juiciness, a water in our tissues that is what brings us life. When it dries out, then the life has gone, the soul is no longer there. And I think that's what I really want in these next few videos, to get you to really feel how to awaken that viridatus, the greening, the connection to nature, but not just, you know, I'm connecting to nature, I'm going into nature. We are nature. And that connection is this moisture that comes through into the earthiness and the soil of our being. Okay, so a little exercise with mitti. Let me get my exercise up. So this exercise is really one that I would use with people who are suffering from dissociation. So dissociation refers to the idea, as I said, of being in one's mind and dissociated from one's physical body. And often, you know, we've talked about disembodiment or dissociation that's related to too much screens and this virtual reality we're all living in. But, you know, the main heart of many people's dissociation is the consequence of psychological trauma. And people, when they are dissociated, they get the feeling, you know, they feel like they can't come into their body. It's somehow they're blocked, they're like a cloud above the body, and there's this feeling of frustration of being unable to enter. And the reason why many people who are psychologically and physically have been abused and traumatized is that at the point of trauma, it was a survival strategy to leave the body, because it was too painful what was going on. A child who's been sexually abused can't deal with that. So, you know, it's too much. So in a way, it's easier to leave the body and inhabit this space above the body so as not to feel the trauma. And it is in that moment, it's a very good technique, because it saves us from being overcome, overwhelmed, unable to deal with. But what happens is we stay there. People stay there. It becomes a habit, and then we think that's what life is. That's where we're supposed to be. And no one, you know, has been there to help bring that person back down into their physical body. And when they're ready, deal with the things that they were evacuating from at the beginning. So it's called a fugue state, and some people say it's like lost time. I mean, even in my own journey, I do feel from this point of where I am now in my journey, where I've really come into my body and healed a lot, it does feel like lost time of not being there, or of only being there in a split way. So we need to find a path back to the body, and that takes practice and commitment to doing exercise, working with oils that bring us back into the body, doing exercises, learning to feel, relearning to inhabit the physical body, looking after the body, loving it, thanking it, all these things that we have to do every day, and coupled with things like gardening, getting your hands in the earth, going into nature, walking barefoot, all these things. And it is a commitment. It doesn't happen overnight. So the exercise, returning to feeling. So because dissociation is often a survival technique, and even those people who've got addicted to being in the virtual worlds, and many children on games, etc., they've got used to not feeling what the physical body is feeling and needs to express. And even, you know, I have read that there are, you know, these kids that are really totally addicted to video games. Some of them have big intestinal problems because they actually forget to go to the bathroom, and over time that becomes constipation, and then over more and more time that can become a very serious issue with the digestive system. So, you know, even ignoring the body's signs of natural function shows that we're in a world where things have really got out of hand and imbalanced. Okay, so I'm going to use mitti attar for this exercise, and as I said, for each video I'll work with a different oil. You can use any embodying or grounding oil if you haven't got mitti. If you want to get mitti, you can get it from cathysattars.com. So I'll guide you through. It's a very short exercise. So get your oil. I actually often just do a little bit here, so then I can smell it as I'm working, or you can use a scent stick or just hold the bottle up to your nose. And I want you to relax. Just calm the mind with a few nice deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. And as you do that, bring your attention deep into your physical body, away from the mind, away from the thoughts. If a thought comes, just don't follow it. Allow it to go off on its own. You are not your thought. If you're a woman or a girl, I encourage you to drop into your womb space. I always say that when I drop into my womb space, I feel my sexual organs saying, "Oh, hi, you've come back. You're here. Thank you." There's a communication, an embodiment in the feminine body where we sit in that deep womb space and our sexual organs tingle with aliveness. It's aliveness. It's not sexuality in the traditional sense of the word. It's an aliveness, a connection to the earth. So get into that space. If you're a man, find that space within you. I can't tell you where it is. I don't have a masculine body, but somewhere deep in there's that center. So drop into that. And as you smell the mitti, let the aroma center you in the body. Like I said earlier, let it infuse each cell in your physical body with the resonance of the earth. You are the earth. You're part of the earth. You're connected to the earth. This oil really reminds us of that. Continue to breathe, and then when you're ready, we want you to tune into any fears in your physical body. Just allow and notice, witness. When you allow the oil to circulate, is there anywhere where you feel fear or anxiety or tension? Something sort of blocks, a knot. I know I can feel it. It's probably because I'm also talking on the video, but I can feel it here, just above the solar plexus. So just allow that feeling to be felt. We so often block that feeling and then go onto our phone or eat something or divert ourselves somehow. But with this exercise, what I'm encouraging you to do is to really welcome the physical feeling. Notice, allow it to express itself. Notice what the sensations are in this part that's holding any anxiety or fears. Breathe with it. Smell the mitti again. And as you smell it, allow it to take you or your awareness deeper and wider. So you might still feel that fear, but it's in the context of the whole of you. And it's allowed to be felt. It's there, and all it needs is to be felt, to be honoured. It might have been sitting there for many years. So just by feeling it and honouring it, you're allowing it to integrate, to move on. As you notice it, ask it what it represents. Tune into it with the oil. What does it want to say? Where does it want to move? What is it holding? And as you do that, notice it. Release. Notice if that feeling moves anywhere in your physical body. I can feel mine moving up through my neck and out. So just allow, notice, witness. Nothing to do, nothing to change. Just notice. You may have some images or words or messages that come through allowing this fear or anxiety to actually communicate with you and move on. Remember to breathe, and when you're ready, then you could journal about what came up. Thank the mitti for allowing you to access this part of yourself. And that's an exercise you could do every day. Instead of feeling anxiety, subliminally and then coming out of your body and doing something so you can ignore it. The idea is to turn that around and actually honor it. And by honoring it, whatever it is, it could be anxiety, fear, shame, guilt, all these negative feelings that we tend to just sort of leave there because we don't want to allow them to be fully felt. Well, the opposite is what I'm trying to encourage you to do with the help of the mitti, is to feel our body and allow whatever is there to express itself. And when it's expressed itself and moved in the physical body, you'll find that it takes a couple of minutes to move out. I felt mine, as I said, come up and out. Remember always to breathe with. It's like going to the gym, you breathe, and it's the breath that brings the muscles and the action of whatever you're doing in the gym. And it's the same with these feelings that are embedded in the physical body. As you breathe, the breath encourages them to move, to get out of a stagnant, stuck place within your physical body, and for that energy to move, be felt, and evacuate. That's all a feeling is. It's an energy that needs to be felt. And we can't feel it unless we're embodied. Okay, so that's the first of my little series of videos on embodiment. And I'll put another one up in the next couple of days. So good luck on your journey. And remember, it takes time, but it's well worth being here. That's what the angels are jealous of us for. Thank you.